What's up, graphic designers? In today's class, we're going to be creating visuals that encourages labbies to practice good hygiene and frequently wash their hands. And we're going to take some inspiration from these airplane instructions in terms of the overall aesthetic and the color scheme so that we produce something that maybe looks a little bit like this. Now, how exactly did we do this? Well, before we added color and text, I got a little outline, and you're probably thinking, Droz, that's cool and all. Where did you how did you exactly did you create this quote unquote illustration? Well, interestingly, I uh, I traced, and you guys will be tracing photos that we took over the last few days, so that we're gonna have an image. Where's the original image? Yeah, here's the original image of Brian washing his hands, and so ultimately we're gonna produce something that looks a little bit like this. How do we start? Where to begin? What do we do? Well, you're gonna of course find your photo, and then we're going to be taking that image and we're going to be putting it on a blank that is legal size 8.5 by 14 inches, making sure that it's in landscape orientation. Amazing. Next, I'm going to press Command A, Command C, Command V. I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to be thinking about like the overall image itself. So we're going to want Jack to be featured a little bit more prominently. And in fact, when we're looking at this image, right, I think the only thing, like the most important elements of this image is Jack himself, the mirror, the sink, and the soap dispenser. So this looks great. So everything over here, this is Dylan taking the photo. This secondary sink, unimportant. And so this is where we begin. All right. So once we've got this, we're gonna press Command Shift N. We're gonna create a new layer. We're going to make the foreground white. We're gonna select the paint bucket, and we're gonna left click so we fill the canvas with solid white. And then I'm going to press V2 for 20% opacity. And now we're going to start tracing. And before I continue, I really want to draw your attention to something. What's really, really important for this project is thinking about the diameter of your brush. So the outline of the individual should be around 15, and then like the interior details, I think this is about 9 pixels, and I think these little creases and the elbow of his sweatshirt were about 3. I'm going to return to this image, and I'm actually going to press V3 so the opacity is at 30%. I like that a little bit better. Now I'm going to press Command Shift N one more time, and now instead of white, we're going to have black in the foreground. And what we'll do is we'll start with Jack's sweatshirt. All right. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to be doing this in stages, and I'm going to press B for brush, and I'm going to right click, and we just want the simple brush. So, we talked this year a little bit about all these fancy brushes that we can download and install from Brusheezy and elsewhere, but we're just doing the simple brush with the hardness at 100%. And because we're going to be doing the outside, we'll have the pixel diameter at 15. So I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to press and hold spacebar after I release, and I can then left click and shift this around. And so I'm just eyeballing it. That looks great. I'm going to left click, dragging. This looks amazing. All right. I'm going to get the outside of his head right here. This looks great. And to be clear, there's lots of other ways we can go about creating this. There's other tools we can use. We can use the pen tool, and maybe we will later this semester, but this is a super efficient way to do this. So I'm going to press Command minus. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to press left click, and it's bunched up right here. That's okay. And now hands are crucial. So we want to zoom in, and when we're outlining the hands, when we are quote unquote tracing the hands, we want the hands to fill the page more or less. And all right, this looks great. This looks great. And we're going to go in and we're going to distinguish those fingers using another brush in just a moment. Okay. Let's go like this. Press Command minus to zoom out. All right. And so you guys get the gist. All right. So, actually, let's do the edge of the sleeve. All right. So this again was size 15. I'm going to drop this down to 7. And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. All right, and so there we got that. That looks great. And so I'm going to pause right now, and I'm going to return to layer 2, one layer down, and now I'm going to press V0 to bring it back to 100%. And there we go. That's a great start. All right, that looks awesome. All right, and so I'm going to press V3 one more time, and now we're going to do the mirror itself. I'm going to press B, right click, and let's make this, let's have this at about 12. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click and I'm going to drag. And you know, this is more or less a rectangle. Okay. And you know what? I overlooked what layer I was on. I was on the wrong layer. Make sure you guys are on the right layer. So I'm going to do this again. I'm tracing it pretty quickly. And so now when I return to this white, quote unquote, white page and take a look. So there we got a rectangle, but you know what? That doesn't look amazing, does it? Particularly this upper left-hand quadrant. That's not a right angle. So what we're going to do is I'm going to press Command Option Z. I'm going to undo. And I'll just create a new layer. And you guys can create lots of new layers as you go through this. And what we're going to do now is pull up the brush. I'm going to left click just once. I'm just going to tap it. Okay. And then I'm going to hold shift, and I'm holding shift, and now I'm going to left click the lower left hand corner, and boom, we can create a straight line. I'm holding shift. While shift is being held, I'm left clicking on the mouse. Boom. That looks really good. I'm going to click once, I'm going to hold shift. I'm still holding shift. And that looks good for right there. Why not? Okay. And then we're going to create a little depth. And if you guys need to fudge some elements of this, that's totally cool. So I'm going to drop this down to, let's say, 7. And I'm going to zoom out just a tad so I can see the entire, I'm holding spacebar, I'm shifting the canvas. All right. Boom. All right. And so now when we boost the opacity to 100%, that looks good. That looks great. And so you guys are going to go ahead and work on this. You're going to save your work as a PSD, presumably at the end of class, because we're going to return to this in subsequent classes, and we're going to use the paint bucket, maybe the gradient tool to add a little bit of color. We're going to be adding slogans, text. We're going to be adding the New York City logo. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see you work. Good luck.